Hello everybody, it's Wendy and today we're going to make a bracelet using products from the Bargain Bead Box. So first of all, our encouraging word for today is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in me with all your heart and I will guide you. And that is Jesus speaking. So, or God through Solomon, who wrote Proverbs. So yeah, very good words of wisdom. Okay, so if you want to make this bracelet, here's what you're going to need. You are going to need a 3-strand reducer. So these were in my stash. They're actually a chandelier finding, but they work as well for a 3-strand reducer. So anything you have that has 3 holes down to 1, so check your chandelier findings, your earring findings and stuff. Anything that has 3 holes down to 1 will work, okay? And that's that one. And then I've got a lobster claw clasp. I debated putting a toggle on here, but I'm going to keep this bracelet because it's going to match this necklace right here that I made from the Bargain Bead Box. And I really want it to have a lobster on it because I can adjust that, and a toggle I can't. So I've got a lobster, I've got a little extender chain, and then I've got a bunch of crimp beads and wire guardians. These are 2x2 crimp tubes. And wire guardians, I think I have 10 wire guardians, so you're going to need quite a few. And I have a jump ring for attaching my lobster. Okay, I'm going to be using the bicones, the Iris Peacock bicones from the box this month. I'm going to be using the Mookite beads, the 6mm rounds, and the 6mm round. What were these purple ones? Were they quartz? Oh, just glass beads. Okay, so they're just glass beads. So I'm going to be using those. I'm going to be using the bead caps from the box this month. I'm going to be using these Mookite nugget things that were really, really cool. Going to be using the 2 leaf bracelet bars, or feather bracelet bars. I guess they're feathers, not leaves. And a bunch of the spacers. Okay. Going to be using a couple of the feather charms and then the drops that were in there. I'm not sure how many of those. Going to be using a bunch of the chips. And I'm going to be using, and I believe these are 10mm, yeah, round Mookite beads. Okay. So that's, oh, and tiger tail. You're going to need some tiger tail. And I've got Beadalon 19 strand in antique gold or satin gold. Okay. All right, so get your stuff together. Come on back. And we're going to make a bracelet. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out kind of like I want it to go, because I'm going to have to measure my wrist. So I'm going to put a leaf here, or a feather. I keep wanting to call them leaves. And a feather here. Okay, and then I'm going to just string beads in between. So I have an idea of how I want to do this. So I want my nuggets to go in the middle. Now let me grab my ruler, because this is really important when I'm making a multi-strand bracelet. Any bracelet. I have a freakishly small wrist and I have to keep the thing right at about 7 inches or it just is huge. Okay, so I'm going to allow 6.5 for my beads and a 1/2 inch for my clasp. Okay, so I'm going to move these up here, right about the middle. Okay, and I'm going to insert these Mookite nuggets, which I love them. They are so pretty. I love Mookite so much. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's go yellow here, burgundy. Let's put this yellow one down here and this burgundy right there. Okay, in between those, I am going to put some of the spacers. And I'm just kind of laying this out to get a general idea. You don't have to measure it exactly just yet. Okay, so that's going to be my middle strand. My outer strands, and I'm going to use these on the middle strand too. So let me pick out some of the pretty ones. So let's go this dark red here. Let's go with a red here, and then I'm probably going to use that one there. Maybe a purpley one over here. Okay, and I may actually be able to fit a couple more in, so we do a purpley one here, like this. I'm pushing 7 inches, but that's going to come together a little bit. And maybe this creamish colored one down there. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside just in case we need them again. That's going to be my middle strand. Now for the outer strands, I'm going to be using these beads, and I want to use a mixture of the mookaite and this purple glass. So let's do this. Actually, let's do this. And I'm just trying to alternate, like if I had mustard colored one here, I'm trying to move it so it would be kind of down away from that mustard colored one, if that makes sense. I'm going to put purple here, so see, I don't want to put a mustard one right here. I have to put the mustard one down on the end. And just trying to keep the colors to where they're kind of varied a little bit. That's a cool one. Let's use him. Okay, so there's one end. Now on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Let me scoot this down a little bit. But I'm going to put these beads, they're going to zigzag. If that makes any sense. Probably not, but you'll see here in a second. Okay, so I'm going to do that. This is a pretty mauve colored one. This one would be nice. Ooh, I love this one. Look at him. Let's put him in there for sure. Another purple. We could do with another yellow probably. And maybe one more. I don't know if one more will fit, but we'll try. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set these aside. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to use my chips. Chips and bicones. Okay. And the bead caps are going to go in between these bigger ones right here. So that's the point of them. All right, so my chips, I want to try to use chips that are drilled kind of in the middle. So you'll just have to look, just pull out the ones that you can find that are drilled pretty well in the middle. And just try to vary your colors. And I'm just laying these out. Then I'm going to put bicones in between them, but I may not do that while we lay it out here because that would be kind of hard to get the bicones to go in between all those. We will when we string it though. Okay, so I'm just putting the chips out. Just a bunch of different ones, trying to find the ones that are drilled pretty much in the center. Okay, and by the time I put bicones in there, that'll space those out. So let's put some over here. And again, I mean, it may not stick right to this. I may not stick to these exact ones in these exact places. I'm just trying to get a general pattern of how I want it to go so that I know when I measure, you know, because it's kind of important that you get them. Your bracelets, I don't like bracelets to be loose and flopping around on my wrist. I like them to be kind of snug. So I have to get it fairly close to my size. And then, you know, I will have a little bit of an extender chain that I could loosen it up a little bit or tighten it, whatever. But, okay. So that's looking pretty good right there. All right. Let's set the chips aside. So if all comes together as planned, this is what our bracelet's kind of going to look like. Okay? So now I need to cut my lengths of tiger tail. So I'm going to have to hook it here and here. So I'm just going to cut one. I'm going to go a little bit longer. So this is about 6 inches. I'm probably going to do them all 6 inches. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 6-inch ones. So let's do that. 1, 2, and it doesn't have to be exact, just close. You just have enough on either end to do your wire guardian and your crimp. 3. Okay, so there are 4 that are about 6 inches, and then this middle one I don't need to cut into sections. It's just going to be one long continuous strand. And for it, I'm going to do about 9 inches just so I have enough for the ends to do my crimps and wire guardians. Okay, so I've got 4 6-inch pieces and a 9-inch piece. Set that aside. Okay, so now we're going to start stringing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my 6-inch pieces to my feather here. Okay, let's go ahead and scoot this up a little bit. So to do that, I've got my, maybe I should, no, if I scoot it down, I'll knock it off. Let's scoot it up. Okay. So I've got my crimp bead and my wire guardian, and I'm going to take my crimp bead and put it on first. Then I'm going to run my tiger tail through my wire guardian, go up and around. Now I want to hook these directly on to the feather. I don't really want to use jump rings because I don't want that extra, I don't want to waste that space that I could be using for beads, if that makes sense. So now is when I'm going to attach this on, and I'm just going to put it over my wire guardian right through it. Okay, so I've got my crimp bead here. I have my wire guardian with my tiger tail going through it, attached to my feather, and I'm just going to take and put the other side of the tiger tail through the crimp bead. Let me pull it down just a tad. Okay, scoot this up in here. All right, now an important thing. You don't want your wire to be crossed, okay? You want it to be laying side by side, because when you crimp this down, it's going to, each piece of wire is going to go into its own little channel, and I keep pulling that out of there. Go back. All right, so here's what I do. I take my pliers, and first of all, I bend my wire guardian in. Just like that. I like the way it looks better when it's bent in. It's not, I don't know, it's just a little less obtrusive, so I always bend it together. Okay, now I'm going to uncross my wires and hold everything. It's kind of fiddly, but just, you know, you can do it. So uncross your wires and just hold it. Now I'm going to take my crimping pliers with the divot on the bottom of my crimp bead. I'm going to scoot everything up, make sure that the wires aren't crossed and everything's tight. My wire's tight in my wire guardian, and I'm just going to press it down. And when I do, it creates this little dent in the middle, and as you can see, each wire is in its own little channel on there. Okay, now I'm going to rotate my pliers, and I'm going to stand this crimp bead vertical in there, and I'm going to find the divot that I want to use, which is usually the second one for me, and I'm just going to close it. Okay, and when you close it up, there you have it, the perfect little crimp. See it? Pull tight on it. Okay, and we've got this one side of our feather done. Okay, so now I'm going to string on my mookaite beads. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side of my feather, just so I can string this whole piece at one time, because I'm going to need to do measuring and all that. So we're just going to do the same thing that we just did. Take one of our 6-inch pieces of tiger tail, put our crimp bead on and our wire guard. Just go right through here. Chris is downstairs making keto pizza. We have started the keto diet. We've been on it about a week, and let me make sure I don't forget to put my leaf on here while I'm talking. We've been on it about a week, and he's lost some weight. I can't tell from the scale that I've lost any weight, but my clothes fit different. So I think I've lost some inches, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really gonna stress about it. I'm just going to keep doing it because I feel a whole lot better. So I'm going to close this up, the wire guardian, and it's like a whole lifestyle change we're making. We're not just doing a diet and then gonna lose weight and get off of it. We are like changing the way we eat forever, because the carbs are killing us. So that's what we're doing. But he's making cauliflower crust pizza or something like that. Okay, he made pancakes this morning and they were delicious. I mean, they used cream cheese and eggs, and I mean, they had no carbs in them hardly, and they tasted so good. You'd have never known. All right, so I'm going to crimp this down just like my other one. Turn it in my pliers and close it right up. Okay. All right, now we're going to string this piece. So I've got my chips and my bicones over here, and I've got my beads over here. And I am going to grab some bead bugs because I'm really, really bad to drop my entire strand of beads off here, and all that will do is frustrate everybody, so let's not have that happen. So let's string the beads up first. So I need, with my feather in the middle, if I go here, and I've got my feather taking up about, yeah, he's about 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so I just need, let me see how many inches of beads I need on each side to get, I need about 2 3/4 inches on each side. So I'm going to start with a bicone over here. Just put it down. I'd like to cover my wire with it, the 2 pieces there. And then I'm going to do a couple mookaite chips. Scoot them down on there. Another bicone. Couple more chips. So I'm basically just doing 2 chips and a bicone, 2 chips and a bicone. Bicone. Couple chips. Bicone, and this may be all I need on this end. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to put a bead bug on so I don't lose it all, and I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. So bicone over here. No, I'm not doing bicones and chips on this side. Oh my goodness, almost messed up. I'm doing little 6mm beads on this side. Okay, so 6mm bead. Glad I did not do that. I'd have been, well, I mean, I would have had time to fix it, but still. I forgot my own pattern. Okay, come on, get in there. So we got a 6mm beads, and I'm just going to string on several of them, and then I will measure everything. Okay, we're going white bead here. Let's do this real pretty mookaite half and half. We'll go purple. All right, now I'm going to put these 2 on. I'm going to put a bead bug on. And I'm going to measure here, okay, and see what my length is going to be so far. So far I've got right at about 6 inches. So I think, let me see, I've got 2 inches of beads there. Do I have 2 inches over here? Pretty close. I think I can add another couple chips and a bicone to this side, and it will even out. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab a couple more chips. I'll try to do small ones. I don't want real thick ones. Let's do thin ones. So 1 and 1 more. This one will work. And a bicone. And that should be pretty good right there. Put my bead bug on. Okay. Now let's go. Oh, there's a loose chip I missed. That might have been supposed to be in there. Okay. All right. So right at 6.5 inches. That's pretty good. That's where I want it to be. Okay. So that is my first strand. I'm just going to set it right here, and we're going to do our second strand. So for the second strand, I have the longer piece of tiger tail. I am going to go ahead and I think I am going to hook it straight through here with the wire guardian and not do the jump rings again, because I'm trying to save some space so I can have more beads. So I'm going to put my crimp on. I am going to go through my wire guardian. Come on now. There we go. Through the wire guardian. Pull it back a little bit. And then I'm going to put it through the middle strand on this 3-strand reducer. Okay, I'm just going straight through the middle strand there, just like that. Now I'm going to pull this up. I don't want to waste that much wire. I am going to put my other piece of stringing wire through the crimp. Okay, I'm going to bend my wire guardian in like I like to do. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure that my wires are not crossed, that they're sitting side by side. And I'm going to scoot my crimp up there and just crimp it right down. Okay, there we have it. Now I'm going to turn these vertical, put that in there, and close it right up. Okay, and there's our little crimp. All right, now I'm going to string my beads. So for this row, I want to do these bigger beads, bead caps, and these chunky nuggets. So let me grab my bead caps down here. So I'm going to do a bead cap first, then one of my bigger beads, bead cap, then a bead cap facing backwards. So these bead caps are going to be back to back. Next bigger bead, bead cap, bead cap facing the back of that one, my next bigger bead, bead cap. Okay, so that is 3 of those. And let me get my ruler again. The ruler is really important when you're doing these bracelets. At least I think it is. And I'm going to look at my inches. So if I've got 6.5 inches of beads here, whoops, which is what I had on my other strands. And I have to count, I don't have to count this because these are all going to hook to it too, so it'll be extra on there. So I just want to count the beads, the 6.5 part. So I need to go all the way to here. I'm probably going to need a couple more of these. Okay, so a bead cap back to back with that one. And let me grab the rest of my bigger beads. We'll do this guy. This one's really pretty. Look at that. Okay. And another bead cap. So I'm going to lay it up next to this one to kind of get an idea. So I probably need... I'm going to go ahead with these now. Let's see what happens if I go ahead with these. So I'm going to do the yellow one. And you may just have to string it on and then look at it and come back and take some things off if it's too long one way, or, you know. That's the joy of... That bead has something in the middle of it. That's the joy of being able to only crimp one end and then work. You know, not have to worry about if you have to take something off. Okay, there's 2. This next guy on. I love these nuggets. I thought they were so pretty. 3. Spacer. And I may not even use all of them. There's this one. Okay, so let's look here a minute. I like to do this. I like to measure them all up and, you know, just try to make sure that everything is pretty even. Okay, so by the time I put a spacer right here, oh, I didn't put a spacer down there. Let me do that. I do want to do that. So I'm going to put a spacer on that end. Sorry, but I did want the spacer in there. I like the metals. I think metals make things look way more intricate and like you've worked really, really hard on them. Even if you haven't. yellow bead. Oh, come on now. Went through there the first time. Okay, spacer. Let's see, what did I have here? Okay, let's do this one next. Spacer. Do this orange one. Spacer. These little spacers seem like a lot of them are blocked or something. Their little holes are blocked. And then we'll do this guy. He's so pretty. Spacer. Okay. So once again, I'm going to lay them side by side here. And just trying to make sure that everything's kind of lining up. So I really do need to use this other mookaite bead because it kind of, let me scoot that bead bug down. And I know, guys, I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, but it really is important that you get this lined up or it's not going to look right. So I am taking the time to do it because I want it to turn out pretty. Like I said, I've got that necklace that I want it to match, and I love mookaite and I love fall, so I want this to look good. So yeah, no, I don't need to go with the next, the last nugget, because if I do, it's not going to line up. So let me, right, so we got this going right here. By the time I get my, okay. Yeah, so we've got our, okay, that's probably going to be about right. So I am going to do, and see the reason this one is coming past here, so I need to make sure that this one, but this part is longer right here, so it kind of gives an optical illusion like it's not lined up. So I am going to go ahead and use this other mookaite bead, I think. No, I'm not, because if I do, I'm not going to have enough room for the bigger beads. Okay, we're just going to do the bigger beads and see what happens. So I need a bead cap. I can always take it apart, right? Yes. Yes, I can. Okay, we'll do this red bead. I don't know what in the world just went down the street. Something really noisy. Okay, putting this one on right here. Put the next bead cap. Okay. I think this is going to work out just perfect, actually. So, this bead cap and bead. And the last bead cap and bead. Yep, that is pretty good right there. Okay, so I'm going to put a bead bug on it. So there's 2 strands. Now we got to work on our last one here. Let's get these chips down here. I'm probably going to need some more of these beads, maybe. So the last one just basically needs to be the same as this one, only reversed. Where did my leaf go? Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to take my 6-inch piece of tiger tail, and I'm going to take a crimp bead and a wire guardian and do the same thing here. Okay. I'm going to insert my feather, just like this. Pin my wire guard down together. Go ahead and put my crimp bead up on my 2nd strand here, tiger tail. Make sure they're not crossed. They're just side by side here. I'm going to lay this in the little divot, scoot it up, And making sure that my wires are not crossed, I'm going to crimp it down. Okay, turn this sideways and close it. Okay, there we have it. There's our little crimp. All right, that's one side. Same thing on the other side. And I'll pause it and do this one so you don't have to watch. So I've got it on here. I'm going to lay this one here for reference. I turned this one the other way. See, it's facing opposite that one. So I'm going to do my 6mm beads on this end. Let me grab them up here. All right, so let's see. Let's start with this yellow one. Okay, and I'm just going to try to vary the colors a little bit. Go maroon here. I like this guy. Well, let's skip. Let's do a lighter one and then him. Let's do a lighter one, then this guy, then this purple one, then this one, and then this one. So let's see, how many did I have over here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so that should be, but see, the thing on this side we do have to watch for is, excuse me, it's got to match up with this one, so it actually needs another bead. So let's see, let's go deep maroon. Okay, because see, it's got to kind of line up here because we flipped our feather. Okay, putting my bead bug on. All right, other side, we've got chips and bicones. So we got bicone first. Make sure it goes down over your wires there. Okay, 2 chips. So let's see, let's do this pink one, this yellowish one. Push them down over your wire. Okay, bicone. 2 chips. This yellow guy here. Let me flip that. That's getting, there we go. Bicone. Let me pull out some more chips here. Trying to pull out the flat ones that are kind of drilled in the middle. Okay, so let's do this one and this one. Bicone. And we've got this guy and this one. Bicone. Okay, and let's see where we are with our spacing. Okay, 2 more chips and a bicone is definitely going to do it, especially if I use 2 thin chips. So 2 thin chips and a bicone, and that should be that. Move this down. This is actually scooted up. Okay, I thought, what in the world has happened? There we go. Scoot this down. Okay, now let's make sure it's even. Yeah, that's looking really good. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to hook everything to our chandelier components. So let me put a bead bug on here just so nothing happens. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to pick up these bicones, get them out of the way, get some of this other stuff out of the way so we can work. Chips out of the way, metals out of the way. All right. us a little room here. Okay. All right, so now here's what we've got. We want this strand in the middle, these strands on the ends, alternating. Okay. So what we've got to do is we've got to hook this to, in all of these little holes, all of these little loops, to our chandelier finding. So I'm just going to start with this one, and I'm going to do the same thing that I've been doing. I'm going to put on a crimp, and I'm going to put on a wire guard. Okay, go all the way down here with our wire guardian. Try to stay on camera. It's kind of hard sometimes. Okay, now this one, I'm just going to insert through here. I'll wire guardian through there. Okay. Make sure that goes up in your wire guardian. Now, scoot our... Okay, well, I am going to pull this wire a little bit. I don't want that much to waste that much wire because I may need it on the other end. So kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this. You may need some of that wire on the other end, so try not to be too crazy with it. Okay, I'm going to squeeze my wire guardian together. I'm going to scoop my crimp up. Make sure that they're not crossed. They're not. Okay, and I'm going to crimp it down. I'm going to turn it vertical. This can get a little fiddly. You've got a lot of stuff hanging on here, but just do the best you can and crimp it. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to scoot all this up. Scoot all these beads up here. Oh, you know what I can't believe I just did that. Okay, yeah, here I am telling you we need to conserve wire. No, we don't. I forgot this is not a continuous strand, so I'm gonna have to take this apart. Don't you love to see my bloopers, because you're seeing them right now. Can't believe I did that. Okay, this is actually gonna have to be cut off too. Okay, that was a mistake. All right, no, we are not on the continuous strand in the middle, so you do not have to try to conserve your wire. What you need to do is make sure that your beads are down where they need to be. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's clearly almost dinner time, and I've filmed several tutorials today, and I'm getting kind of, yeah, it's probably my last one for today. Okay, let's do this again. I'm sorry, guys, but it happens. We all make mistakes. Into the wire guardian, up and around, and no, this is not the middle strand, so we don't need to worry about conserving wire for the other end. Okay, so let's hook those right back in here again. Now, we want to get our second one in our crimp bead here, just like this. And if you can go down through a bead or two, that's a good thing. So, I'm going to do that. Okay, then grab this wire right here and pull it up. Now, the only thing with this is you cannot tell if your wires are crossed or not. You just kind of have to hope that they are not. I mean, do the best you can. Like, try to hold this where you can see. That way it looks like they're not crossed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, put it in the divot. Make sure everything's pulled tight. You don't want wire. You don't want your beads having wire exposed in between them. That's not the look we're going for on this bracelet, okay? So go ahead and crimp this down. There we go, okay? And turn it sideways and just close your little crimp up. Okay, and there we have it. So now I'm just going to trim this piece off right here. Make sure you trim the one sticking out before I have trimmed my other one, and that's not good. And you cut your bracelet. Okay, so there is that strand. That seems stressful to me, I think because I messed it up. Okay, now what we've got to do next is the other end here, but I'm going to go ahead and do this last one over here, just so that I can make sure everything's lining up the way I want it to and all that. So go ahead and crimp your last strand onto your chandelier finding here and come right on back, and we'll continue on. So here's what we've got so far. Now we're just going to work on our other end. I'm going to flip this around because I like to work over here for some reason. Okay, making sure that all my wire guardians are laying straight. Nothing's crossed over, everything's straight. Okay, and we're going to do this end. So you're just going to do the same thing on this end that you did on the other end. And what we're going to do on this end is, just as you do this, you just want to make sure everything is lining up correctly. Okay, so like this one, make sure this is laid out, your wire guardians aren't twisted up in there, your beads are pushed down, that kind of thing. And we're just going to do the same thing. We just want to attach all 3 of these strands to our chandelier finding. Okay, so I'm going to go up and over with my wire guard. Okay, just like this. This is not double-sided, so I need to make sure, okay, that I get the right side on here. I'm going to go, whoops, take this in through the hole and right up through here. Okay, now we're going to go back down through our crimp bead and through a couple of beads if we can, so a bicone and a couple of these chips if you can. Even if you can just get through the bicone, that's okay, which is what it appears that mine's going to do. So just pull it tight. You want to make sure your wire guardian's up in there, pull it tight. Okay, and we're just going to take this. I'm going to try to make sure that my wires aren't crossed. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and crimp it down. Turn it and close it up. Okay, I'm going to cut this piece of wire. All right, so there is our first little strand attached on. Okay, so for the next strand, same thing. We want to make sure everything's laid out flat. Okay, and this does look even with the other one. That's another thing. You just want to make sure that your beads are kind of even. Everything's lining up, everything's pushed down. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here. Crimp bead, wire guard, up and around your wire guard. Okay, put this up on here, right through our wire guard, just like that. We are going to go down through the crimp and the bead if we can, and come out the bottom of the bead. Mine looks like it's going down through another bead. I don't know where it went. Okay, so now what I want to do is just find out where my tiger tail is coming out down here. Yeah, it's trying to go through that bead, but I don't think it's long enough to. So let me grab it back out. There we go. And just pull it. Make sure everything's tight, nothing's, twisted around or weird. And I like to just lay it out like this and kind of pull it, because see, that it needed to come back out a little bit because these beads aren't taking up as much room on the strand as this one is. So that's okay. I mean, that's not ideal. You'd rather have them exact, but it's kind of hard to get them exact. So you want to take this and stretch it just like this. So I need to crimp and leave just a little bit of room on this second strand for the beads. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap there, and that's okay. They can float a little bit on this second strand. It's not going to be super noticeable. I am going to make sure that my string or my wire is down through my wire guardian and not not bubbled up there at the top. You want it hooked through your wire guardian smoothly, and I'm going to crimp it. Okay, turn sideways. And crimp it. Okay, so as you can see, my second strand just has a little bit of movement in it. That's really okay for the second strand. It's not going to be noticeable. It would have been better if I would have maybe put a bicone on the end of each strand, but I didn't really, I thought they were pretty close, so, and they are pretty close, just not exact. Okay, so for this last one, now this one, I do want to make sure is exact. So I'm going to hold this up, and it needs another bead at least. And I think because these chips kind of draw up a little when you crimp them. So this definitely needs another bead. So let's find a little, let's do the purple. And let's see if that if that fixes it. It actually could use, I think, one more bead. Let's do burgundy. Okay. So now when I pull this out, that's going to be pretty close. Making sure the other end is done. I have to have room for the crimp though, so maybe I need to take this bead off. Yeah, I do. I'm going to have room for the crimp there, and I have to pull out another wire guardian because I had to cut my other one off. So let me grab one real quick. There we go. Okay. All right, so same thing here. We are going to put our crimp bead on, and that's how you kind of have to adjust these bracelets when you're doing them, and just make sure that everything's laying flat, you know, and you may have to add or remove a bead. Let's go through here, go up and around our wire guardian, and through the chandelier finding here. Or reducer, whatever you want to call this thing. It's actually a chandelier, but it's being used for a different purpose today. Okay, and then we're going to take our crimp and go down through it with our tiger tail and down through a bead or two. Okay, pull that tight and let's compare it. So make sure all my wire guardians are looped out, pull it straight, and this is about where it needs to go. Okay, that's pretty good right there. So I am going to take my crimp, oh, I didn't push this wire guard together. I do like to do that. I just think it makes it look a little bit more neat. Okay, now we'll do it. Okay, crimp it down. Turn it. And close that little crimp up. There we go. Now we're going to cut this one. And here we have it. Now we do need to put our clasp on. Okay. So, and I'm going to do these little charms too. So here's my lobster. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm just going to hook my lobster on with this little jump ring. Right here. Okay, just like this. And I'm going to flip it, and I'm just going to hook my chain on this other end. Can I open these links? Let me see if these are openable links. If they are, yeah, they are, I think it is. I'm just going to hook it right on there if it is. Yep. I'm just going to go right on here and close this right up. Make sure that your lobster, if you're using a lobster and an extender chain, make sure your lobster will fit through the links on your chain. I did that already, and mine will, so here we go. All right, now let's hook on a couple of little charms. So I think what I would like to do is put maybe a feather here and a drop here, and a feather here, and a drop on the other side maybe. Yeah, that would be really cute. I think we're going to do that. So let me grab a couple jump rings to do that with. And I don't want to use really big ones for this. I'm just trying to find like a 6mm jump ring. Nothing huge. Okay. So I'm just going to hook these on. I like these little charms on the ends. I think it's kind of cute. Gives it a little extra. So I'm just going to take this guy. Oh, will that jump ring fit through there? It's a thicker jump ring, but yeah, no? May have to get a 4mm. No, there we go. Okay. And just hook it right on here. And I'm going to do that with all 4 of my charms and then come right back. Okay, so once you hook your clasp on, you're all done, and here is our finished bracelet. I really like this. I love the mookaite. I just think it's beautiful. Absolutely stunningly beautiful mookaite. Yeah, so I'm going to put this on a form so you can see it a little bit better, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's our finished bracelet, and I think it turned out really nice. I like it. Love the mookaite. We got the little charms hanging on there. Really, really cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will link Bargain Bead Box in the description box below, and if you want to subscribe to them, I have a coupon, Wendy2 will get you $2 off of your first box. If you don't want to subscribe, you just want to shop in their store, you can use that same coupon code for $2 off your first purchase in their store. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like it, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.